It's been a long time since I read this book too. I think since I read Stevens and this book, it's been like 5 months or something. I don't know. It's been a while. And also, I'm going to at some point organize these, provided I ever finish them. Maybe before that, but organize them into a collection or something. I know I can organize the channel, I just have never done it. So, anyway. We're on chapter 7 of Penny's book, Polishing the Bones. And just search Penelope on my channel. Penelope Tarasuk. And you'll find the rest of them if you want to follow along. Chapter 7. The Eagle Dream. In our session today, Laura says that before her initial call to me many months ago, she flew across the country to one of Eugene's on-location projects. While visiting him in Los Alamos, New Mexico, she found that he was, once again, overextended and preoccupied. Emotional connection of any depth with him during these times did not seem possible. Laura spent time horseback riding in the high desert. Reviewing her frustrations, she reported feeling growing resentment, restlessness, and urgency. She shares the important experience that she had in the desert and the powerful dream that followed. Reminiscent of an early pattern of behavior in her youth, she retreated to the outdoors and found comfort in nature. There, under a vast sky and open land, she reviewed her life. In the desert, she began to realize the depth of her sorrow, the disappointments in her marriages and in her life. Laura felt the intensity of her loneliness and the pain and sorrow of so many losses. During one of the nights following a day of solo time horseback riding in the wilderness, Laura recorded a significant dream of conflict between an eagle and a falcon. Her dream allows her a glimpse into her violent inner struggle. Dream. In the desert, I am in a field facing west. In the west, with others. The land is flat, and I can see for miles except for places behind the brush, sagebrush, tumbleweed, and mesquite. There are small groups of people scattered here and there. Suddenly I see an eagle with its wings completely outspread, falling straight to earth, surely to its death. There is blood on it, lots of it. It strikes the ground head first as it holds its wings rigidly away from its body. Everyone gasps both at the beauty of the creature, its size and perfection, and the sight of its impending doom. But as soon as the bird hits the ground, it soars back up into the sky again, high up, rapidly, and we all see that a smaller bird, a hawk or falcon, is following it from the exact spot where the eagle struck. The smaller bird is also bloodied, and the two do a ballet like this, repeating their rising and falling, following one another in turns. This is repeated 2 or 3 times. Each time the birds fall to earth, they are behind some vegetation and cannot be seen. The final time we see the eagle rise into the sky, it is no longer followed by the falcon. There is a feeling of utter triumph, of freedom, and I realize that I am the eagle. In horseback riding, she found self-comfort in nature, an effective way of soothing and containing herself, her feelings. She realized how deeply alone she'd felt for so many years. Lifelong needs and wishes had begun to overwhelm her. Her unresolved past experiences were reactivating and coming to consciousness. In analytic terms, the return of the repressed, memories and feelings. After over 50 years of demanding trials with health, family, and work in the world, Laura's psychological defenses were now fragile, permeable. Their former effectiveness was failing. For the first time in her adult life, she unconsciously created the time and space to face herself. Months after she begins her analysis with me, she brings the eagle dream into her session. Laura says, "This dream was powerfully moving and inspiring. I didn't understand it then, although I knew this dream showed me that a profound life and death struggle was happening in me. I knew I was witnessing something spiritual." Laura and I reflect on the setting of the dream. In the desert, I am in a field facing west. Entering the desert has long been associated with retreat to an isolated place for the purpose of spiritual revelation. A field is an open, undefined, natural place. Facing west, in symbolical terms, is facing introversion, incubation, hibernation, possibly death and renewal. The sun sets in the west. The light disappears. The West is a place, both real and imagined, in the American psyche that describes the pioneering spirit, a sense of open spaces, and the potential of a new way of life. From her personal family history, Laura reflects, "The possibilities of the West drew my grandmother to New Mexico during the Great Depression. She found her way to her creative spirit by becoming a painter. I too was drawn west to California. Maybe I was following in her footsteps." She speaks of horseback riding into the high desert as being one with nature. Unconsciously profound change was already underway. In the dream setting, the desert habitat includes native plants, organic life that can exist, even thrive, without much water. They appear to be surviving in a harsh environment, and perhaps illustrate Laura's emotional and spiritual life. Going into the desert is traditionally and biblically a time of endurance, banishment, contemplation, psychological introversion, and confrontation with one's demons and temptations. In her dream, small anonymous groups of people are witnessing presences. I feel these are aspects of Laura's observing ego, conscious parts of herself watching her life's process. The initial glimpse of the eagle is shocking to her and awesome to the witnesses. It appears suddenly. Through various accounts in stories and myth, glimpsing the divine is just that. Shocking, dramatic, dangerous, and often experienced as violent. The ego is eclipsed without its permission. The self, in its powerful numinosity, takes over. The eagle is acting in a deadly way. It is terribly wounded and falling without obstruction. I wonder aloud, how could any living thing survive this situation? I note that the color red has appeared in the dream as blood. There is blood on it. The eagle and the falcon are bloodied. There is wounding, flesh torn, and blood is flowing out of bodies. In alchemy, the color red signifies libido, the passion and culmination of an embodied incarnate life. The birds in this dream are raptors, powerfully aggressive and predatory. The spirit is wounded. The great bird of divine majesty is falling to earth. In mythology, the hawk is associated with the capacity to communicate with the beyond. Also, in her personal memory, Laura bled in her late miscarriage, and Karen cut her wrists. Is Laura's spirit in conflict? Is it in a dance? The two birds do a ballet like this, 2 to 3 repetitions. Things appearing in twos or pairs can symbolize coming to consciousness. The opposites are present in a twosome, such as darkness and light. Relationship inevitably has tension. If Laura can hold and experience the tension, feeling the opposites, what will be the third? The resolution. Something will be born out of the tension of the opposites. What has come into consciousness in Laura? After the fall, the birds cannot be seen behind some vegetation. This is a mystery. In the dream, we are not allowed to see what happens or how it happens. Death, healing, reconstitution. The process is invisible, yet we see the outcome, resolution, the climax. I feel that this is a dramatic, dynamic image of the interrelationship or dance of life and death. Laura wrote, "There is a feeling of utter triumph, of freedom, and I realize that I am the eagle." This dream is an epiphany, a sudden intuitive realization, or a manifestation of divinity within. As she reads and discusses it here with me, Laura does not behave or appear to be conscious of or directly in touch with these profound feelings. She speaks about the dream but does not behave or appear physically involved in it. I do not sense her mood lifting or anything indicating an expansive, triumphant experience. I am not feeling that Laura senses freedom now. She does not seem to be emotionally or physically feeling the danger, the horror, or the ecstasy of the dream. They're reporting the dream now. Laura had this dream many months ago. It is not really alive in her at this present moment. She is not open to the depth of emotional experience indicated. I hope that we will return to this dream in the future when she's more emotionally available. It is too rich a dream to simply report.